Are you being proactive or reactive when it comes to writing your fiction book? And what I mean by that is, are you winging it and going with the flow, or are you being intentional? Now, let's face it, winging it and going with the flow, that works for some writers, but if it's not working for you, maybe it's time to make a change. In this video, I'm going to share with you how to be proactive about writing your fiction book. Hi, my name is Elke. I'm an author and a book coach, and I help fiction writers stay focused with accountability and support, taking them from idea to launched book. So, the first thing that you can do to be proactive about writing your fiction book is to look at writing your book as part of your life and not separate from it. So instead of thinking of it as, just a hobby that you'll do when you have time for it, is that you figure out how do you fit it into your life. And then also not thinking of it as this big, huge project that you need to do, and let's face it, what usually happens to those things that we think of as big projects, right? They usually get forgotten or pushed aside. So that is one way to do it, is to how can you incorporate it into your daily life? Or look at it as that it's part of one of the other things in your life. Okay, the second thing you can do to be proactive about writing your fiction book is systems. Now, I love this. This is my favorite. I love checklists, workbook, all those things. And the reason why I love them is because they help me to know what I need to do to write my book, instead of just sort of mindlessly, working on my book and not really getting anywhere. And one of the things that I like to do is when I say, okay, I'm going to write my next book, is I create a 90-day plan, which I then incorporate into my Google Calendar with reminders, right? We all need those. And then I create a story Bible, which is basically a really in-depth outline, and it takes me through the whole process of tracking everything that I need to know to write my book. And within that story Bible is everything that I need to help me build out my book, my characters, my settings, everything. And this helps me on so many levels. So it really, my 90-day plan is like my roadmap, so that I know what each step next that I need to go. And my story Bible is just everything and anything that I need to actually write the book. Okay, so systems, that's one of the reasons why I absolutely love systems. And they can really help you to be proactive instead of reactive when writing your fiction book. And the third thing is to be intentional about writing your book, instead of what I like to say is writing blindly. So you're not just sitting there, I'm going to write a book, and then I'm going to just sit down and I'm going to write willy-nilly, and then suddenly it's a week, a year, and there's nothing happening. You're not finishing your book. And when you're intentional, you're being very clear about what is the action that you need to do in order that's going to move your book forward and get it finished, right? And an example could be, finding an accountability partner, hiring a book coach to help you get to the end and work through the issues. It can be something as simple as taking an online class that's going to help you deal with the writing skills that you need to improve, right? It's just really being intentional and taking those big action that are going to get you to where you want to be, which is finishing your book. All right, now the fourth is to simplify, to make it easy to get what you want. And what that means is, I'll give you an example. For me, like when I know that I want to work out on this day, or I want to do yoga on this day, as soon as I get up in the morning, I put on my yoga clothes, because this makes it just easy. So after I've had my coffee, I've journaled, I've done all my morning routine, I've got my clothes on, I'm ready to go, because it's too easy to kind of get into the mode of working and then suddenly, I have to put on my clothes, it's too much of a hassle. And how you can do this with your writing your book is maybe to create a space within your apartment where you'll go to write. So you're not having to say, I'm going to write, where am I going to write, I don't know, that kind of stuff. You're basically preparing. You've got this writing space, you know where you need to go. You've basically taken out every obstacle as much as possible, that is going to make it easy because you've simplified being able to sit down to write. Okay? Another thing that you can do to simplify is, one of the things that I like to do is to carry a notebook with you, or a file, or whatever it is that you use to work on your story. Some writers use an app on their phone, which makes it easy, right? You don't have to think about it. And just have that with you so that whenever you get inspired, or maybe you just have a few minutes waiting in the doctor's office, you can write and work on your book. And that just makes it so much easier than thinking, oh, I'll do it when I get home. That's never going to happen, right? Let's face it. So that just simplifies it and just makes it so much easier for you to be able to write your book. Now, the fifth thing that you can do to be proactive about writing your fiction book is to just act. And what I mean by this is just looking at tasks that you can do daily or weekly that are going to get you towards finishing your book. Now, this is maybe necessarily not things that are directly related to writing your book, but they can be things like doing research for your book, identifying interviews or people that you need to interview that's part of your book. It could be building your author platform. It could be creating a vision board for your book. These are all things that you need towards writing your book, but maybe aren't directly related. And I find this really helpful because two things. It helps to keep you excited about writing your book, but then it's not as stressful as sort of sitting down to write your book. If you're not feeling it, these are other things that can either help you spark your creativity, or they can still help you to make small steps towards finishing your book. All right? And then the sixth one is grace. And this is a huge one for me this year, and one that I'm constantly working on myself, as well as with my clients. And what that looks like is there's a few things. The first is just understanding that it's okay to not be perfect and for everything not to be great. Let's face it, because especially when you're first starting out, one of the biggest challenges I see with my clients is they feel that their writing isn't good enough, and they just feel like, well, I can't write, I'm not a writer. And the truth is that, they're just at the beginning of their journey. So, you need to give yourself grace and recognize that, it's not going to be perfect. It's your first draft. There's no way anybody's first draft is completely perfect, right? And to recognize that, and to just give yourself some grace in that regards, and to understand that writing is a journey, and so is your learning and your improving your writing skills. Another way to give yourself grace is to embrace failure and think of it not as a bad thing, but as a stepping stone that is going to take you closer to your goal, which is finishing writing your book. Because let's face it, if you have to remove 12 chapters out of your book or something, or a whole bunch of words, it can feel like, oh my gosh, I'm such a failure, I don't know what I'm doing, when the truth is, it's like, okay, that didn't work, but it's helping me to make my book better, and look at it that way and give yourself grace that way. Sorry, it's my cat. She loves being in the room. Okay, so the next thing is instead of beating yourself up, because I know as writers we do this, instead of beating ourselves up, is to acknowledge that you're learning and growing, and that writing is a process. And, instead of beating yourself up, which, let's face it, it's not helping you. It's not helping your mindset. It's not helping with your self-image. And it can really put you on a spiral that is taking you away from where you want to go, which is writing and finishing your book. So, don't beat yourself up, but look at it as you're closer to getting towards your goal. Okay? And to recognize that you're learning and growing, and that is part of the process of writing a book. All right, the next thing to give yourself grace about is to understand that if something isn't working, that you can change it. And you don't have to give up and just say, well, this isn't working, so I am a failure, this isn't working, I'm not a writer, I can't do this. Is just to understand that, hey, it's not working, I can change it, I can fix it, I can do something different, and that's okay. And looking at giving yourself grace in that way. Okay, and the seventh and last way that you can be proactive about writing your fiction book is to make space to ask yourself the real questions that will help you to grow, to have peace, and to be intentional about writing your book. And this is an interesting one, and one that I'm also doing myself this year, because I think too many times we get so caught up in, you know, writing the book, what's working, what's not working, all the things that I just talk about, but we don't really sort of take a step back and intentionally ask ourselves questions like, well, what's not working with this? And why am I feeling this way? And, you know, why do I want to write this book? And why is it important to me? And just making space for those questions, because I think it challenges you to think and grow and really get down to the root of what's going on with why things aren't working, instead of just throwing your hands up and giving up. And I think that's really important to do, not only as a writer, but as a creative and just as a human being. I think these asking ourselves the real questions are really important towards helping us to grow and learn. Okay, so there you have it. Those are 7 ways that you can be proactive about writing your fiction book. Now, just keep in mind that becoming proactive about writing your fiction book, it takes time and effort, but if you keep moving forward and building on the progress that you made, it is going to be another wonderful cog that is going to fit in with everything else that is going on in your life, and to build the life that you want, whether it's to write one book or it's to build a career as a writer. Okay? If your dream is to write a book in 2021, I'd love to help you, and I can do this in 2 ways. You can book a free session with me if you're struggling with what your next steps are, or if you're just feeling stuck and you want some help to get you out to the other side. I love helping writers to get through that. So that's one way you can do that. I can help. The next is you can, if you're just starting out, you're not quite sure you know, where to go, or you keep starting and stopping, one thing you can do is sign up for my free training, which is Start Your Book Now, and that basically helps you to build a strong foundation to help you to start writing your fiction book. Okay, the link for both of those will be in the comments of this video, so you can find them there. Now, if you enjoyed this content, I would love for you to like and share this video with any writers that you think would find the content helpful, and of course, to subscribe to the channel so that you can get notifications of the next video I will be posting once a week. And if there is content that you would love for me to share here on the channel, please let me know in the comments, and I would be happy to create it for you, because, hey, I'm here to meet your needs for what you need to learn and what you need to help you become a better writer. So let me know in the comments how I can help you out. Thank you so much for joining me, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Bye.